These peppers look great. Hi neighbors, hang out with me as I do a little meal prep. We are making mixed greens. Now the combination that I prefer is mustard, turnip, and spinach. I picked up 4 bushels of spinach, but I'll just be using 3 for this dish, and I'll set the extra bushel aside for my morning omelets. We have 4 bushels of mustard and equal part turnip. Now, I know that you can purchase greens pre-plucked, pre-stemmed, but this part is something that I do not mind doing. I actually prefer doing it because I noticed that when you buy the bags, there are a lot of stems. And I don't know, do you all mind having stems in your greens? I prefer to have as minimum stem as possible. I just feel like they cook up differently and they produce the taste is a little bit more bitter. So I go ahead and I just break the stems down, and I just want that leafy component. One of the things that I'm experimenting with is making my own bone broth. So I will be repurposing these leaves for that process. And yeah, I think I'll make a video as I make my bone broth. But yeah, it doesn't take that much more effort to go ahead and destem these yourself. I find it to be very satisfying. I just go ahead and put on a little music or a podcast, and I just enjoy my time doing really beneficial, healthy things for myself. With vegetables, greens in particularly that are pre-prepped, the bag generally says that it's pre-washed. But let me tell you something, don't trust that. Because I know in the past that I've washed the items that were supposed to be pre-washed, and there's still a lot of dirt and grit that can be extracted. And a very crazy story is my sister would buy snap peas and they were pre-washed, so she would eat them directly out of the bag. And one day she noticed something very odd, and upon closer examination, she saw that there was a whole grasshopper in the snap peas. So yes, please, 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 even if you buy them already destemmed, still take the extra step in rinsing, more specifically pre-washing. So this step here, I just go ahead and I break down the leaves. I rip them up. I like this part. So that I can manage them a little bit more when I go to wash them. And they're already more so in bite-sized pieces. So I'm just going to gather all this up, and I want every piece because we see the prices of groceries, and you just saw me, sitting here picking these greens. So we're going to make sure we get our money's worth. And these are turnip greens that I'm going to do next. So I have a nice amount of greens, so I decided to grab this tote. I'll go ahead and disinfect it so that I can expedite the process. I like to make sure that whenever I'm doing anything, particularly meal prepping, I have the utensils and, all the parts that I need to make the process more efficient. So I'm going to go ahead and use this big tote. I'll use some of my favorite disinfectants to clean it out, and then we'll just continue with making our greens. Do you all put bleach in your water when you're cleaning? I do. I put it in my coffee pots. I put it in my dishwater. I just feel like that's a little extra step gives me a peace of mind to know that, things are disinfected properly. You just have to make sure you do that extra rinse. So here I am, just cleaning up my tote, and I'll go in with a new scrubber. I got a big bag of these scrubbers from Temu. I can't remember, I think there were 100 in the bag, and they were pretty reasonably priced. But what I like about them is I can go ahead and use them and then throw them away. Like I'll use this one maybe to wash the dishes today and tomorrow. But if I have something that's pretty grimy or something that was really saucy and stains it, I'll go ahead and throw it away. But for the most part, you get about 2 or 3 uses out of them, and you can toss them because you're probably aware that you should not keep sponges lying around because they harbor bacteria. So here I am just going through here and giving it another thorough rinse, and we are ready to wash our greens. So now we're all set to start the process of washing our greens. And you'll see why I took that extra step in ripping them up, because it does make this process more manageable and easier. It goes quicker. So let's go ahead and load this up about a quarter of the way, and then we'll run cold water across the greens. I like this part too. It's very therapeutic. I go in with my sprayer so that I can add a little force and agitate it and break loose any of that debris that may be, harbored in the folds of the greens. And I'll play a little music and you guys can enjoy this part. So now I'll go in with my retractable strainer, and here I'll take the greens and I'll, put them in the strainer, and I'll run water on them so that they can, again, break loose any of that debris that wasn't captured in this rinse. So we'll sit them in the strainer, and I think the video skipped, or I may have deleted it when I was editing, but I will go ahead and I run water on this strainer and let the greens again get a good rinse. So we gave them a rinse on the other side. Now we'll return them to this larger container so that we can do our final rinse with that combination of baking soda and white vinegar. One of the things that the vinegar will assist in this process is it will help tenderize the greens a little bit. Here we are going in, adding the spinach to be washed. This is about my fourth wash. I believe we had about 4 to 6 washes because that was a lot of greens that we picked. So again, you want to make sure you don't, cheat this process. You want to make sure that what you're feeding yourself, what you're consuming, what you're feeding your family and friends is prepared properly. And this is what I mean. Even after several washes, you see that residue that was still present. So that's why we wash about 3 or 4 times. Up next, another one of my favorite part of meal prep is I love a good gadget. And this here slicer, I use it so much. And it's very efficient. And it has several features, several functions. Right now, we're just going to do some really thin slices of carrots. We're going to add to our greens. Let me turn this around so you can get a better view. So you see that dial on the back? It allows you to pick how you want your slices. You can have these thin slices like I'm doing here. You can have them really thick. You can do them julienne. They're different like shapes. And this is a great addition to your kitchen. If you're a cook, if you're a beginner cook, again, this makes it easier and it makes it kind of fun. So I will say this, it does come with a hand guard, but I packed it away in the basement somewhere, and I know how to use this so that my fingers don't get too close. But make sure you do use your hand guard. I'll make an effort to go dig it out the basement so the next time I use it, you can see what that looks like. But let's chop away. Here, my peppers are washed and prepped. I like to use yellow peppers, red peppers, orange peppers. In my food bank haul, remember all those green peppers I had? Well, those are going to the community table because green peppers, for some reason, gives me severe heartburn. So I don't do green peppers. Even just a hint of green peppers gives me severe heartburn. But I'll go ahead and we'll slice this up, and I'll play a little therapeutic music while you watch. this is new to this dish for me. I found these peppers, and on the bag it said mild, but then as I read further, it said some of them are hotter than the others. So we'll give it a taste test, and then I'll see how many of these I want to use. I did taste them, and there was some kickback on a few, but it wasn't an alarming kickback. So we'll go ahead and prep all of these peppers, and we'll add them to our mixture for greens. And I personally don't mind a little heat. I think it makes the dish rather interesting. But I am conscientious when I know other folk will be eating the food that I prep. So either I'll do a side dish for myself where I'm a little freer with the spice, or I'll just minimize the spice altogether. And we have these onions, so we'll slice those up. Now let's get some of these onions sliced up. I do like onions, so I'm going to use all of these onions. Plus, they will reduce, so it's not as many as it seems. But funny story, I remember when I was younger, and I always enjoyed cooking, but I always enjoyed making it easier for myself. And I was very influenced by other, to me, what seemed to be really good cooks. So one day my mother came in the kitchen, and I was there chopping my onions away, but I was chopping them underwater. And she looked at me and was like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh yeah, this helps you, the onion and the gases from the onion, so your eyes won't tear up. So, you should peel them and chop them underwater." And she said, "Girl, if you don't stop assaulting those onions and just cut them right," she said that you're losing a lot of flavor when you prep your onions that way. And that was just one of those gentle lessons my mother taught me, and I just appreciate who she was in my life, and just helping me figure things out. So one of the things she did help me figure out is when you're meal prepping, you just want to make certain that you chop those onions up last. Okay, so these are the seasonings we're going to go in with for our greens. And it's a combination of just whatever you like. I have the two that I just showed you. I'm always going to use turmeric and black pepper. We know that that's good for inflammation. I'm preparing these greens for myself. So yeah, we're going to go in with some crushed red pepper, lots of garlic. And yeah, we're going to use some of this cayenne ground pepper too, because it does add a different kind of component to our mixture. So we're just going to eye it and mix a bunch of things together so that when we go to assemble our greens, we can expedite that process. So here's the mixture, and we're going to layer our greens. So part of the layering will be this apple cider vinegar, and I'm going to also add the smoked turkey necks. I like to use turkey wings, but the grocer didn't have them today, and I'm just as happy with the necks, to be quite honest. Here is my old trusted big pot. I got this pot from TJ Maxx. You see all the greens there. It's a lot of greens, huh? So yeah, I got my pot from TJ Maxx, and it does hold a lot. So one of the things, though, I will caution you about this pot, they still have them, and I love using it. The hardware under the handles of the pot is exposed. So when that pot gets hot, that hardware is hot. And you have to be ever so careful to make certain that you use like an oven mitt, because you will suffer a severe burn if you don't. I found that out the hard way. So I'm just trying to save you all some drama and trauma. So here I am. I'm layering all of the ingredients that we prepped. We just took a couple of handfuls of greens. We're adding in the onion, the peppers, the yellow, red, and orange. We're going to go in with the apple cider vinegar. I'm pretty sure you probably saw it, but when I first put the greens in, I put the seasoning on the greens. And then we're just going to repeat the process. Here we are with the seasoning again. Onions. Those colored peppers. You can see some of those spicy peppers going in, those green ones. And here we go with the apple cider vinegar. And we're going to add a smoked turkey neck. So I'll just do this until the pot is full. And the pot is full there. And this is how it looks so far. And I went ahead and let it reduce some because we still have a good amount of greens to add. So I'll go in now and I'll add them since we have room in the pot. It looks so yummy. And I love all those colors. When I was in public health, I met a young woman who had lost a great deal of weight. And she was very vocal in sharing what contributed to her weight loss. And she said she started working with a dietitian. And the dietitian suggested to her, eat your colors. So I love a vibrant plate. I love a vibrant dish. I love using vibrant colors when I'm preparing food. So that was one thing that stuck with me, is to eat my colors. So here I come with some of those colors. And the apple cider vinegar, I like that acidic taste. It adds to the greens, but it also helps tenderize the greens. And we have more turkey neck, more seasoning. We're going to come in with some more color. We're going to just keep adding the rest of these greens to the pot, and then we'll go ahead and let them cook and reduce. So let's go ahead and get this covered. We have it on high heat so that it can start to boil and reduce. And once we get a good boil going on, we'll reduce it to a low medium heat. Look at that. It looks so yummy, and it smells even better. So yeah, we'll go ahead and let it continue to cook on a low to medium heat, and I'll cook it for about 45 minutes to an hour. It just depends on how tender you like your greens. I like mine somewhere mid-range. So we'll go ahead and give it a little dance there, and we'll keep our eye on it. We'll add more water if we need to. If I need to add more water, I'll add hot water into the pot. And when I was done with this, I had enough greens to store for about 20 servings. So up next, granola.